Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Community Awareness Program. We have two programs going on today. We have Nate Smith from the City of Banning. He's our city engineer, and it is the Active Transportation Plan, our workshop number 2. And we also have Amber from ARE. So Nate is going to go first because he has to be at City Hall in a little bit. So he's going to be first. If I could have everybody stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and this is Nate Smith.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. My name is Nate Smith. I'm the Deputy Director of Public Works and the City Engineer. We've been working on this project for the Active Transportation Plan now for about a year. We were awarded a grant from the Southern California Association of Governments, or SCAG, to prepare this Active Transportation Plan. So this is a project that has been fully funded by SCAG, that's going to be to the benefit of our community. As part of that evaluation, we do have a consultant who was brought on board. So we have KTUA and Circulate San Diego. They were the consulting team who were awarded this project by the group that's selected at SCAG. And we've been working to develop what the existing condition is with Banning, what some of the needs and desires are, what we're looking for an active transportation plan. So active transportation, in a nutshell, is everything that's not a car. So it's being able to, bikes, scooters, pedestrians, and how we are able to safely move people in non-motorized or non-vehicular ways across the city to get to points of interest. So we're going to go through the presentation. I'm going to introduce our consultant team real quick. We will have some time for questions and answers. We are going to be doing the same presentation tonight at City Hall, so that's why we are taking off from here, because we're doing this as a community event over there as well. So if you would like to come back by, you're more than welcome. We do have some flyers in the back that match the boards that are up front. We have about 25 of them, so you may have to share. But if you're able to grab one of those, provide some input back to us. You can leave them here with Michelle or at the front counter in a couple of days. We'll have those delivered back to City Hall and to the consultant team. So we do look forward to your input. We are in the stage of preparing what the final report is going to look like. So that's why we're doing this workshop today, is to get that community input as we move forward. So to go through the presentation, I'm going to introduce Tom Bertrulis. I'm going to butcher your last name, I'm sorry. So he is with KTUA, and he has been our consultant and our lead on preparing this plan. We'll work through the slides and then open up some time for Q&A.
Thank you, Nate. Good morning, everybody. Who's excited for the presentation? All right. I like to hear that. So we're going to be talking about active transportation plan today. We're in the early stages, so we're still really looking for feedback from the community, meaning you. So the agenda for today, an overview of the project. Then we're going to have Circulate San Diego come up and talk about community outreach. We actually have two people from Circulate San Diego. You have Octavio on the left here, and then Maria just behind. And also my colleague Morgan is in the way back from KTUA. So there's a team of 4 of us supporting Nate. Then I'll talk about the proposed map and project development. We have a few proposed projects that we're very early stages on, so we're trying to get some feedback on how this community can interact with this proposal, with walking and biking and golf carts. And anyone use a golf cart? Raise your hand if you use a golf cart. Oh, great. Yeah, we are looking at legitimizing golf cart use in bike lanes. You'll be happy to hear. Not necessarily citywide, but from a community like Sun Lakes to destinations nearby, like the grocery store. It makes sense to be able to take a golf cart in a bike lane, like in Beaumont, or like in other places, like in the high desert, which I've spent some time in as well. And then we'll talk about next steps. So project overview, the funding for this is administered by SCAG, the Southern California Association of Governments. So not your local tax dollar. It's a regional pool of money. So, I get this a lot. It's like, my money's going to build what? It's like, no, no, no. This is like money from Southern California that's like free money, basically, to build this. So that's, some people like that. It's 22 months, almost 2 years long, ending June 2024, so next summer. So now is a really good chance to give your input, because we've done existing conditions and we're diving into proposed projects. Project team, I kind of mentioned this before, us, K2A Planning and Landscape Architecture is our full name. City of Banning, SCAG, which I mentioned, and then Circulate San Diego has been really helping with the public outreach. They're a long-term partner of ours. We've been working with them for many years. Project schedule, you can see here we started in 2022 with data collection, analysis. We had a lot of community outreach. We've had a big focus on community outreach, workshops, pop-ups. We've had in downtown Banning examples of what these different facilities could look like that we've implemented just for a few hours using plastic pop-up materials. Then right now you can see we're in the summarizing the community feedback stage, developing a list, prioritizing that list, and then starting to develop projects. People always say, okay, what's your product? You know, what do we get for this? You know, are you going to build something at the end of the day? We're not quite going to build something at the end of the day. We're only going up to about 30% plans. Then we're going to go on our hands and knees. Nate's going to go on his hands and knees. Can you imagine this guy begging for money? Who here has begged for money before? Couple honest people here. Everyone else is a liar. I knew it. We're going to beg for money from like the state and the feds to say, okay, can we start funding some of the projects that the community wants? And we really, you know, I was talking to Nate about this before, because I get people saying, well, I'm one voice. Is it really going to make a difference? It does make a difference. You know, the ones that you say, I really want this, you turn around and you see those get built. Because the state of California, when they administer funds, they want to see what the community wants and how much public input there's been. So like I mentioned, we're going to finish next spring, maybe, you know, June. We're going to have these final project cut sheets, 30%. Then we can apply for grants with those. And we're going to present to the city council for adoption the final plan. What will this accomplish? Two kind of overarching things. One, it's nice to have a plan in place, right? So this, what I talked about with golf carts, there's no policy yet, but Nate and I were chatting, and he can certainly answer more questions than me, that we eventually want to have this plan as a framework and then have a policy that can match up with this plan. You know, so we need this in place to get that policy in place, to get everything, you know, copacetic. Especially when future development comes, it's kind of nice to have a plan in place. And then, you know, we want to make improvements to have safer, more comfortable, reliable mobility choices. We want to give more options. We want to make it better for all road users, whether you're walking or biking or driving or taking the bus or taking a golf cart or one of those fancy little scooter electric things. Does anyone use those? Little surfboard on wheels? Nobody? What a surprise. What have we done? We've been hard at work. Mostly Morgan's been hard at work. I've been pretty lazy back in my computer, solitaire a lot. But this is kind of what we do. Existing conditions, propensity model, what is that? That is looking at latent demand. It's where people want to go from origins to destinations, because when we develop an active transportation plan, we also don't just look at where people are currently traveling, but where people could travel if we close the gaps. Infrastructure gaps. Public input, one of our most important parts of this plan is public input. Equity mapping, we don't want to just build in areas where there's a lot of loud voice, but also underrepresented areas. We want to build there as well. And school zones has been very important. We do want to build around schools. There's areas that, you know, one of my favorite projects you'll see later here is around 2 schools. It's on the other side of Banning, it's on the east side of Banning. And then it also connects to the high school on the south side of the freeway. So I'm going to pass this section over to Octavio just for one slide. So go easy on him.
Good morning, everyone. Okay. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me? All right. So I'll quickly go over the community outreach that we've done. I'm from Circulate San Diego, and my colleague Maria. We've been in charge of community outreach for this project, and we've done a series of outreach starting in late 2022. So we have a few pictures up here, but we started back in October 2022. We did some school pop-ups, Banning High School, Nicollet, and Central. We asked students pretty much, what infrastructure would you like to see in Banning? Like, would you like to see improved sidewalks, bike lanes, etc.? So that we got their input. Then starting in earlier this year, we did it in April, and in May we went to Disaster Expo, and we had a pop-up at a market night to have more of the general resident feedback. Same thing, what sort of infrastructure would you guys like to see? We had this thing called the Sky Kid of Parts, where we had a physical demonstration at the market night. Like, this is how a bike lane could look. This is how a curb extension could look. This is what a park lane could look like. So people could tell us, like, yeah, we like that. We'd like to see that in the city of Banning. So that's the outreach we've done. And then we've done these stakeholder workshops, such as what we're doing here today. And we'll have another one of these planned early in the winter. Next year, 2024, just to again collect. So we've received feedback already. We've integrated it, created recommendations. Now I want to hear what you guys think of the recommendations. So that's what the next step that we're doing. So that's why we're here today. I'll pass it back over to Tom.
Thank you, Octavio. So project development, we first, using all those existing conditions inputs that we discussed before, developed a citywide bike network plan. You can see here a lot of various colors. I'm not going to go into all the details, but it basically, the gist of it is, there's a network that we've proposed that covers the entire city of various different types of facilities, from calm streets to bigger streets that have more separated facilities. From that, and a big part of this came from community input, we came down to 15 priority projects. And these are the 15 we're going to do 30% design drawings for, that we've actually already started, but any feedback from you we can still incorporate. In fact, in the back there's a stack of these 15 projects that we want you all to vote on, if you'd be so kind. Is anyone interested in voting on some of their favorite projects? Raise your hand. Great. So after this presentation, you can look at that stack of paper back there, and you can vote on which of these you would like to see happen first. So we do want to prioritize these. We haven't quite put them in order of priority yet, so that's how you can help us. One of my favorite projects is this one. It goes around Nicollet Middle School, right next to Century Elementary School, and it's a two-way cycle track, meaning a two-way protected or separated bikeway, which is kind of nice. I mean, by middle school, I already knew how to ride a bike, but sometimes middle schoolers are learning or at least taking bike training, and you can be separated from motor vehicles, looping all the way around Nicollet Middle School as you learn how to ride a bike, which is kind of nice. Here's a draft concept of that. You can see here, that's one type of separation on the left, the sort of white flex posts that separate you from vehicles. And it's a two-way separated bikeway that looks like that will wrap around the school. And so if you're a kid and you're uncomfortable in moving traffic, you can be fully separated from moving traffic and go all around your school. Kind of like this idea. And you know, this is our 1-3. This is probably my favorite slide out of everything. There's some pretty boring slides coming up, just warning you. This one, it kind of jumps up, kind of gives you an idea of like, oh, that's what, because we presented this before, and I'm like, I don't understand this this plan you're showing me. It's like, oh yeah, I understand this. Compare this to this slide. Who thinks this slide's a little more boring? Oh yeah, a couple of people. For anyone who's like an engineer and wants to get into the nitty-gritty, they can kind of say, oh, well, there's that little red here. I'll see if I can. That little red pork chop is basically at the intersections, which is the most important place to protect these cyclists, because more crashes occur at intersections compared to at mid-block. So we have this little concrete pork chop that when you make a turn, the vehicles turn on one side of it and the cyclists are on the inside of it, and it just serves to protect the cyclists a little bit better. But And in the lower left right there, you can see the different segments that we have these plans at. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. But if you just look at your lower left, you can see there is one section, and there's another section. The key thing is here, San Gorgonio and Alessandro are going to become a one-way couplet, and we're going to have that two-way cycle track around the school. And then here's another photo. I'm not going to dive into these. And then here's Alessandro. That was San Gorgonio. And then, so that was one project. Another project is Omar Street and Jacinto View Road Loop, that instead of more protected bikeway, we're going to just calm the streets using various types of traffic calming, and we're in discussions with the police department and the fire department, making sure everyone's happy with this. But, you know, typical speed bumps might not be very fire truck friendly, but if you have a speed cushion like here, you can see how there's cutouts there. There's an exact width of the fire truck they just go right over. And we were talking to Nate, and they said, yeah, you know, if it's rubber and it has a width of the, you know, width of the fire truck is the spacing there so they can drive over without slowing them down, that they're okay with this on residential streets. And then if it's on a bigger street, maybe something more like a speed table that's gentle enough not to slow the fire truck down too much, but still can have safety benefits. Like finding that balance is what we're looking to do. We haven't fully figured out the design yet. It really depends on what the fire department is happy with. And then this is something called edge lane road markings, which basically is dashed white lines on the road, just painted lines, which doesn't really change driver behavior too much, but there was one big study that showed a pretty dramatic safety benefit, which you wouldn't think it, but they looked at 44 million road miles traveled. This is, you know, looking at number of cars traveling this over a 10-year period that showed this is a study done out of San Luis Obispo up in Northern California, showed a pretty significant safety benefit from this. And so, yeah, it's a simple fix, just edge line road markings. You can see in the bottom it says dash white lines, no center line. This is just for residential streets that usually don't have center lines anyway. Again, this is what it looked like on a more plan view. In the lower left hand, you can see where it's located there on Omar Street. Here you can see Jacinto right here. This is a proposal. And then again, Jacinto. We're calling these neighbor ways because it's not just for people biking, but also people walking or with strollers or in golf carts. This is for everybody, basically, for all the neighbors to have these nice, calm streets. And then finally, McGovern, you can see the red here where it's located. And that's it. We can take questions now.
Yeah, just a couple final points as we work through this. The interventions that we're looking at on this, some of them are actual physical construction that we would perform as the city, you know, probably more around where we do the two-way cycle tracks, protecting students, so on and so forth. Others are simple restriping of roadways and just kind of changing the mind frame of what the width of that road actually is. So it's a wide range of interventions that we have at our disposal that this plan is going to really help us to establish. The network that we're trying to create, you know, we have the network that's on the higher speed roads, you know, because there are users who will take a bike down Ramsey, but there are also children and others that would prefer to ride down a calmer road. So if we look at Nicolette or something for major east-west connections, it gives them something with less vehicle traffic to increase the safety on that as well. That's where you kind of run into these neighbor ways. We've been working real close with this project, with the downtown project. I gotta swallow the mic, huh? We've been working very close with the downtown project to make sure that the two are coordinating as we go through. So while there's nothing specific discussed in this presentation of this plan on Ramsey Street, it's because those specific items were taken care of as part of that downtown plan. So the two are working together actually very nicely. I think that they have followed each other's pace right about where they should be. And we're looking forward to having this implemented and being able to start to beg for money. So that'll be our next job. So with that, I think we got a couple of minutes for some questions. We are doing this presentation again at City Hall starting at 3:30. So if you know anybody else who might be interested, let them know. If you want to come by, that's fine. And we do really want to hear your feedback. So if you can fill out those the flyers and stuff, they're in the back. we'll have those collected, and I'll make sure that those get distributed and included with the comments. So.
That covers a lot of the bikes and stuff like that. Sun Lakes obviously is the golf cart capital of this area, and we've been fighting for 20 years trying to get cart path just to go across the street. Well, is this going to do anything? This part isn't going to do anything, but are you looking at that part of it?
So this part actually will do something with that. So as we take this report, if we're looking at a recommendation within this report to establish that framework and that guideline, and then it gets adopted by council, that provides us the direction that, yes, this is something that we are going to implement. Beaumont's got the project on their side. They had talked about it for a number of years as well before it really got rolling on it. And we are looking to kind of build on that and see, base what we're working on from there.
No other questions? You have to talk in the mic because it's being recorded.
Are we going to have lanes on Sun Lakes Boulevard?
So what we would be looking at there is taking the bike lane and making sure that it's wide enough to accommodate a golf cart as well. So, if you look at First Street, Second Street over in Beaumont, I think that's a real good example of what that could look like. You've got your 6-foot lane, you got a little 2-foot buffer, and then you have the vehicle lanes that would be next to it. We'd be looking to mirror something similar here.
Okay.
Oh, question in the back.
Hi, can you go back a couple slides? Can you go back a couple slides for me? Start at the beginning. Right there. Oh, keep going. One more. No, that one. Okay, so there's bike trails where the blue is, correct? You're enhancing the area or whatever. But can't we connect all of those? They're all disjointed.
So these are the priority projects. So when we looked at it, we go back to the previous slide, this is the network. So this is what we're looking to do. So as we were doing the assessment over on the west side of Wilson, for example, as Atwell's building, they're putting in bike lanes, the infrastructure's there. We don't need a project. So when we go to the next slide, and actually, you don't even need to. You see, you have the orange hatching that's on there. Mm-hmm. Those are the projects that we're looking at as the kind of the priority projects within this network to advance in this first phase. Now, just because it's not listed as a priority project doesn't mean that it's something that won't get accomplished. So as development comes through, if they have property that is fronting on a road that may not be in a priority project, but is identified as a bike facility, this gives us the tool to require that project to provide that improvement as they are going through. There's also some other items that we might be able to take a look at that are just kind of in their infancy at this point, as far as looking at potential traffic mitigations, as maybe having developers look to implement other portions of projects as mitigation for whatever their development might be. WRCOG is looking at implementing a type of program like that regional wide, and then we'll take a look to see if it makes sense to join that, or if it makes sense, maybe we copy it just for within our city limit.
Okay, so if you go to the next slide after that one. So that is actually much more spread out than what it appears on there. Is that correct?
Yeah, the full network will be citywide. This is just where we're going to target some of the immediate project, immediate funding.
Okay, and how much funding are we receiving for this?
Right now, zero. But
Zero.
But what we have is the first thing, anything that we need to get funding, everybody likes to fund projects that are construction ready, or that will be ready to be construction ready in a short time. So as the next active transportation cycle comes out, the state does a release every 2 years. The next one is coming up. Is having a plan like this with 30% drawings allows us to be competitive when we are making those grant applications. And my take on it is ask for as much as possible. Within reason, we obviously we can't do everything at one bite, but we can take a very impactful portion of it, spend some money there, and then ask for some money for some of the more passive improvements that are going to deal with striping and so forth, to try to get as much benefit through as much of the community as possible at one time. I don't know what that request is. That's going to something that as the grant program rolls out, that we'll talk with the grant program managers on, where would we be most competitive with what our ask would be.
So as far as initial funding for the priority projects, what cost are you looking at? What are you costs are you looking at overall, and what is the time frame?
So we don't have cost yet. So as we get through this community feedback, as we get the 30% drawings in, that's when we're going to have an idea of what we'd be looking at from a cost perspective. That's going to be developed over the next several months. The time to implement is going to vary widely based on available money, mitigation from projects, so on and so forth. So, this is just like a circulation element that we have in their general plan. It's here, it's the goal, it's what we're going to continue to march towards, but it doesn't have a definitive end date of at what point we're going to have it in there. It's also a living document, so if priorities change, if, transportation modes change, we can come back and take a look at this and make revisions to it to reflect what that is. 10 years ago, no one thought there'd be rentable scooters, and it was here and gone in a flash. And now, e-bikes is kind of the new thing that's really coming around. I'm seeing much more of those. That could put a much greater demand on the network that require expansion. So as it develops over time, we have the ability to go back and make those changes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else? Okay, this is going to be the last question.
At the first workshop where you were here, didn't you say that there was a certain amount of grants that had already been applied for because of the description of Banning as a needy city?
So I have used that description on various grant programs and requests. One of them was, we did recently receive some money from the county for Sun Lakes. That's a whole nother presentation I can go back and talk to you guys about. But it does use that. It does help. When you look at the community descriptions that, they want to be able to serve disadvantaged communities, that it does give us points. It does allow us the ability to improve the community, especially in the areas that haven't seen this type of improvement, to bring the entire community up. So it is something that we use. It is something that's been successful on various grant applications.
I thought you had said that there was a certain amount of money that was already applied for and received at the last workshop.
So the last one was for the downtown plan. I believe that it was the grant to actually prepare the plan. So we did get about $300,000 to prepare that document, 90% of which was covered by the state. Okay. So I thank you everybody for showing up today. Like I said, we are doing this again at 3:30 at City Hall. If you want to come by and sit through the presentation again, we do look forward to your input. If we have that, we're going to pack up quietly in the back so we can get to the prep for the next meeting. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nate. Just get a picture of them. Just together. Yeah, get a picture of them. Lieutenant Roman, if you would come and give us a update, please. Is that on?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Roman. I'm one of the security managers here for Sun Lakes. I'm the lieutenant, filling in for our director, Mr. Mike Romero. We are committed to providing a safe and secure living environment for all residents within our community. This monthly security report aims to inform and update our community members on various aspects of security and safety. We will discuss concerns related to resident credentials when using the guest lane, enforcement of citations within our community, reporting violations, providing an update on the homeless situation outside the community being handled by the Banning Police Department, and how we will be preparing for the upcoming holiday season. So first point, guest lane credential checks. We take the security of our community very seriously. As part of our ongoing efforts to maintain a safe environment, our security personnel have been diligently checking residents and guest credentials when using the guest lane. This is an important measure to ensure that only authorized individuals and their guests gain access to our community. We appreciate all residents' cooperation in presenting a valid Sun Lakes ID card when using the guest lane, as this contributes to the overall security of the department, of the community. We also take your address and your verification, so either your ID or your address and your verification code. Gate officers are not honoring Sun Lake's vehicle tag decals as form of ID, as these can be easily transferred. So the little blue decal sticker does not mean that you're a resident, only your ID or your address and your verification code does. Point 2, enforcement of citations. Over the past month, there have been a significant focus on enforcing community regulations. This includes addressing issues such as unauthorized parking, improper use of areas, and other violations that impact the safety and quality of all of our residents. We would like to remind all residents that citations are being issued for violations, and we ask for your cooperation in adhering to community rules. Such violations include expired gate passes, non-visible disabled placards, and unauthorized golf cart parking. Point 3, reporting violations. Your active involvement is essential in maintaining a safe and secure community. Residents are encouraged to call us directly to report any violations or concerns. We highly encourage that you call us at the time where it's happening. We've been seeing an uptick in calls a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the incident, which makes it a little difficult for us to do our investigation if it's something that happened so long ago. This includes incidents such as suspicious activity, safety hazards, and breaches of the community rules. Your vigilance and willingness to report issues contribute significantly to the safety and well-being of our community. Point 4, homeless issues outside of Sun Lakes. We are aware of the concerns related to homeless issues outside of our community. These issues are being addressed by the Banning Police Department. Banning PD has implemented strategies to address the homelessness and its associated challenges. We remain in close communications with local authorities to ensure the safety of our community and support their efforts in handling these issues, such as using See Something, Say Something, neighborhood watch programs. Residents should also take extra precautions and make sure they're securing their homes by locking all points of entry and garage doors. Point 5, the holiday season. As we approach the holiday season, the security team is fully committed to ensuring the safety and well-being of our communities and their members. We understand that this time of year brings unique security considerations, and we are taking proactive measures to address them. Our preparations include the ease of traffic at the main gate. We're going to be converting our resident lane into a guest lane on some of those high volume days in order to help ease the flow of traffic through gate 1 and 5. We encourage residents to always call in your guests ahead of time in order to avoid holding up the gates. A guest list is also recommended if you're going to be having a large gathering. Feel free to drop it off, up to the day of the party, and we'll make sure they can all get in accordingly. We will be maintaining heightened awareness and vigilance through the holiday season. This includes increased patrols, monitoring of our entrances, and frequent security checks to deter potential threats. In conclusion, your commitment to the safety and security of our community is valued and it is vital. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to myself, our Director of Security, or the security hotline at any time. Together, we can continue to make our community a safe and welcoming place for all of our residents. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Jonathan, when you open up the resident lane at Gate 1 to guests, that's going to really impact residents entering at Gate 1, isn't it?
Yes, this is something that we have done in previous years, and the way we work it is we bring in an extra person, and it just makes the whole flow of traffic go so much faster, especially on like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, where the flow is much more increased. It just helps alleviate that. But that's also why we recommend that our residents use unmanned gates to help alleviate with that as well.
I just wondered if you had a policy for open garage doors that you see during the night.
Yes, we do. Our policy, our patrol officer from 8 o'clock to midnight is, along with their patrol routes, if they see a garage door open, we will call our call center and have them call the resident. But unfortunately, with we only have one patrol officer, so they're a little busy in between those hours, so we don't get to it as much, but we are going to be increasing our focus on that, especially for the holiday season. As we all know, we all have more decorations, more things in the garage, so we're going to try and help alleviate that as well.
So after midnight, you don't have a policy then?
We don't, but we're definitely going to adjust that for this holiday season, I think.
I'll take one more, or he'll take one more question, because then I have Banning PD coming up. Anybody have a question for Lieutenant Roman? No? Okay. Now we have Banning PD Officer Mendoza.
Thank you.
You need to stay in back of this monitor, otherwise you'll get a lot of reverb. Right, you can go right over there.
How you doing? My name is Officer Mendoza with Banning Police Department. For the month of October, we had 26.
You need to keep this close. There. Oh.
Is this better? Is that better? So we had 26 transient-related phone calls this last month. We did 9 citywide cleanups. So that's when we just go from one side of the city to the other, and we just clean up, collect shopping carts and whatnot. So I was on vacation and school this last month, so I only got 2 transient arrests. So that's about it.
Does anybody have any questions? Linda, hang on just a minute, please.
Is there an encampment off of Gate 6?
Off of what?
Gate 6? Where's
Gate
Gate
6?
6?
Down at the end of Highland Springs?
No, there is not. There was one maybe a year ago. We cleaned that up. And then the fires happened. So there's probably a lot of foot traffic back and forth. Transients try to go look for recyclables and things like that. But there isn't an encampment at this point, at this time. And you had a question, what were the names? Yes? Names, Officer Mendoza and Sergeant Howdigi. Any other questions?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I have an
Yes,
appreciation. Thank you to you and all of the police for keeping us safe, and appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now I'm going to introduce Amber Schleider, and she is from ARE. Remember to stay back here. Is that it? Yes. I'm going to turn my mic off. I think that one. I wonder, is it going to go? Oh, wow, it works while the laptop's closed. I didn't know that.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys all for coming out today. My name is Amber. I am with ARE Animal Rescue, and we are the people who run the Banning Animal Shelter. Before I get started, do you see that cute dog right there? Isn't he handsome? He's so handsome. He came in about 2 days ago. He was a stray dog from our city. He was very scared when he showed up at the shelter, and now you can see he's giving me loves. He's a sweet guy. He'll have a name tomorrow, so he doesn't have a name yet. So I'm Amber, as I previously mentioned. I am the executive director of ARE Animal Rescue. We are a no-kill rescue, and we believe that every adoptable pet deserves a chance at life. I believe there is a human for every pet and a pet for every human. And I truly believe in my heart that even feral cats have a place on this planet. They deserve love, from afar, of course, but they deserve safe environments as well. We have 2 locations, so ARE is not just the Banning shelter. I think a lot of people get that very confused. They think ARE is just the Banning shelter. We absolutely are not. ARE Animal Rescue was in existence before the Banning Animal Shelter was even a twinkle in anyone's eye. We actually are a full rescue organization running programs and whatnot, just like any other rescue organization. Banning is simply a subset of what we do. We do have multiple satellite locations all throughout Southern California, both Riverside and San Diego counties. And we have, or entered into rather, a contract with the city of Banning about almost 3 years ago, so it started in July of 2021. It is a 5-year contract, and so we're entering, we're about 2.5 years entering into part 3. We have partnerships with multiple retail locations where we house our adoptable pets so that they're available to the public 7 days a week, and as many days a week as, or many days a year as that location is open. So a lot of those are open 364, 365 days a year. We are also a nonprofit organization, so any of your donations are tax deductible. As I mentioned, our contract with the City of Banning began in July of 2021. At the beginning of our contract, we started talking with the City of Banning in about February of 2021, and we talked through a few different things, decided that we wanted to work together as the city themselves was restoring the facility. When it came time to open the facility in July of 2021, the facility was really not ready to be opened. Not only did we not have animal control officers hired yet, but the shelter itself was not complete. But we talked through it and decided, okay, let's just work through this together, because nothing in this world is perfect, right? We're just gonna work through things together. So, the Banning City had already given notice to Riverside County, who was previously serving the citizens, and they were not able to extend that while we completed the shelter facility. So we went ahead and said, okay, let's go ahead. So why did Banning terminate their service contract with Riverside County? Good question, right? Why you want me, not them? Well, one, better service for the community, right? We're here, we're local, we're right there on Charles Street. We're able to provide more access to the community, better access to pets. There's a local location to drop off lost and found pets. When Riverside County was running animal control, if your dog was lost, you either had to drive all the way to Coachella or all the way to Jurupa Valley. That's far. It's quite the drive. When people come to the shelter and say, I found this dog in, such and such, and it's not a part of our jurisdiction, and I tell them that they have to drive to Jurupa Valley or Coachella, they look at me like I've lost my mind. The other reason that we believe that contract was canceled was due to cost. It was brought up, it was mentioned to us that the cost was being increased by Riverside County to the City of Banning. I do not have the exact number up on the screen, but I believe it was going from approximately $14,000 a month to $27,000 a month. And that was proposed in, I believe, 2020. Like I said, I could be a little bit off, but that's what I recall reading. So this is what the City of Banning was paying Riverside County in 2017-2018. So their total animal services was $204,000. But if you look at that arrow, the shelter service itself, only sheltering. Now remember, I don't do animal control. I love the babies, take care of the babies, and house the babies. I provide shelter-only services. In 2017 and 2018, Riverside County was collecting $68,202 from the city of Banning for shelter-only services. ARE contracted with Banning for $60,000 a year. I think we can all agree that in the last 5 years, the cost of everything has increased tremendously. So we receive $60,000, less than what Riverside County was offering. So this is Banning's budget taken from their finance meeting. And if you take a look up here, you can see in 2020, 2021, right, this is their actual costs when they were with Riverside County, okay? And they do fiscal years, so July over. So it was $268,135 is what it looks like. Mind you, in 2020, what was closed? Everything, right? When did we start reopening everything? I don't even know, sometime in 2021. So while it was closed, while they were not taking animals, the city of Banning was still paying $268,000. In 2021, 2022, we began our contract, of course, but so did animal control. So animal control was hired in. And they pay the salaries for animal control, $97,959 for 2 animal control officers. In addition, they get benefits of $60,000, right? So those are animal control. Again, I don't run animal control. I'm not affiliated with animal control. Department costs, those were trainings and other things done for animal control of $3,400. There's some utility costs here, probably power and water. I don't know, I'm not privy to that exact information. Maintenance cost here would have been for their vehicles, their radios, their phones, so on and so forth. This $11,000 lease is the animal control vehicle that animal control drives around in. They said they gave us $75,000 during that course of time. Supplies, this is supplies right there. I'm not sure what supplies those are, but perhaps things for animal control. Maybe those have phones, and again, not my budget, not privy to it. For me, it's frustrating because these 2 items shouldn't be lumped together because we're totally separate, right? Completely separate entities. So in 2021, 2022, they said they spent $390,000, okay? This year, here's animal control's budget. We only had 1 animal control officer for the majority of the year this year. These are their other expenses. This is what we got. These are vet bills for animals that before they came to our facility, not while they were in our care, but before they came to our facility. So total spent, according to this sheet, is $202,819. So again, just kind of bringing it back, this is what we got. So if you look at that finance meeting, they actually mentioned that these are the actuals down here. So I think this is interesting because someone made a typo of about $203,000. Anybody else notice that? Okay, so there's that. So what were we expecting? When we talked to the city of Banning, and we said, hey, you know, we think this is something we could do. We think we're interested in working together. This is the information we were sent. Now, mind you, we did not take 2020 data. Why didn't we take 2020 data? Because everything was closed. There was no data, right? So we took 2019 data, and according to Riverside County, we should have taken in, or what they took in rather, in 2019, in terms of stray dogs in the city of Banning, 265 stray dogs. Well, that's not much, right? Like, that's easy. They took in some dead, 37 owner surrender. They confiscated 11. They had some adoption returns. Foster returns really don't count because they were already their animal to begin with. They just came back to the shelter from a home. And then 5 people asked them to euthanize their pets. So even at worst, 338. Okay, so we're going to take 338 dogs, give or take, right? Maybe 350. Not so big of a deal. Cats, 400, right? Even if we go down here to the 500 number, really not that big of a deal. So just looking at these numbers, Riverside County stated that they got 265 strays. That would be 22 dogs a month. Not a big deal. This is what we got instead. So this is our dog intake for the year of 2022. We had 18 dogs abandoned at the gate of our facility, whether that be tied up with a leash, left in a crate, or a box, but abandoned at the gate of the facility. Animal control picked up 324. Now, first and foremost, what I'd like to point out is what a great job animal control is doing. Look at how much better service the city of Banning is getting by having their animal control. We had 35 dogs born in care. Why? Because there are a lot of unaltered animals. And when they come in very pregnant, well, they have puppies. We had 27 owner surrenders that we accepted. We had 44 dogs that were adopted out throughout the year that got returned. Serviced in 158. So Amber, what is serviced in? I don't understand. That's a dog that came in, and guess what? It had an identification or a microchip. And we were able to pick up the phone and say, hey, Joan, your dog Fluffy is here with us. Can you come down and get her? And Joan said, oh my gosh, Fluffy just got out. Yes, I'll be right there. And Joan came running down and picked Fluffy up. So these dogs right here were never in this stuff up here, okay? They were never in that. They were dogs with identifications that we could immediately return, so we didn't have to intake them, we didn't have to kennel them, we just had to hang out and give them kisses for a little while. People showed up at our shelter. Have you guys ever found an animal on the street and picked it up and taken it somewhere to the shelter so it would be safe? I have. Private people came in and brought in 283 dogs. Private people, private citizens. We have some people who find dogs on a regular basis. We know them by face and name. They walk in and we're like, oh, cool, what do you got today? And they're doing a great thing. They're keeping these animals safe, keeping them from being hit, and actually keeping our community safe. Because if you swerve to miss a dog and you hit a car, you're going to hurt a human, right? So, transfer in. What is transfer in? Why would you have transfer in? Well, as I just mentioned to you, I have people show up at my shelter with animals that don't belong to me, right? They aren't my jurisdiction, so I have to send them out somewhere else. Well, it happens at other shelters too. I found this dog in Banning. Well, I live in Hemet because I was driving through Banning. I went home and I stopped off at whatever. Well, that dog has to make its way back to Banning, right? So we transfer those kids back in because they come back to us. In terms of cat numbers, you know, cat numbers are pretty crazy. We have a lot of people who dump cats, surrender cats. Cats just kind of go crazy. We're not really here to talk about cats as much today, but we got a lot more cats than we bargained for as well. So one of my favorite questions is, where do all these dogs come from? How in the world are there all these dogs? One of my favorite things I heard someone say is, where are you buying them from? My friends, I do not need to buy dogs. There are so many dogs loose in the city of Banning. It's absolutely unbelievable. Just look on Facebook for 5 minutes. There are so many lost and found groups. I just pulled a couple, but this is my favorite comment from Turg competition. Banning has a big problem with stray dogs roaming the streets. That's our community. They see it too. We have a problem. If you drive through the city, you guys are lucky, you live on this side, and it's not as fun over here. But when you go more east, we have some people in our community that maybe just don't have enough money to secure their property well. That doesn't mean they don't love their pets, right? But their pets have a tendency to get out. So we have a lot of dogs. We have a lot of everything, actually. Where else do our dogs come from? Well, because we have a phenomenal animal control officer, sometimes we have to confiscate dogs. Sometimes we have hoarding situations. Do you think that any of these dogs deserve to live in the home that they were in prior to coming to us? Absolutely not. We've done hoarding cases where we took in 47 dogs in one day. How's that for fun, right? We have cruelty cases here. You can see this is, we refer to her as Leggy. I call her Legosaurus Rex just because it's cute and she likes it. Leggy has a deformed front leg. It twists out to the side. Leggy is a confiscated dog who we have had to keep at our shelter for over a year now while police worked the case to get a conviction for animal cruelty on these dogs. This is Honey. She's another confiscated dog. How much food do you think Honey got in the home where she was chained? Doesn't look like much, does it? Let me tell you, she weighed 19 pounds as a pit bull. She had a sore on her bottom. Leggy spent 2 days in the hospital before she was even able to come to the shelter. That's how mistreated these poor dogs were. So not only do we take these stray dogs, but we take confiscated dogs. And confiscated dogs we're required to hold until we have direction to dispose of them, whether that be via adoption or via another method. These guys are fighting pit bulls, so they are very, very dog aggressive. They do want to eat any other dog that they can see, and therefore they have to be housed differently away from other dogs so that they're not as stressed. So let's talk about what happens to the dogs. What are the outcomes, right? Well, Riverside County in 2019, for the city of Banning, remember they took in 236? They adopted 86 of those kids, right? They transferred 104 to a different partner, which means a rescue or some other organization. They returned 66 to their owner. They put one dog in foster, probably the same dog that came back. Remember we saw that foster return? Anyways, just a side note. They euthanized 49 dogs that were treatable. That means that those dogs were adoptable. All they needed was maybe a minute of love. I can't answer it. All I know is that their classification is treatable, which means adoptable in my opinion. Untreatable, 13. Yeah, that happens. Maybe they had parvo, maybe they had something, maybe they were fighting pit bulls, right? They had 3 pass away, so they had a total outcome of 323. So let's go back to ours. Out of our 904 incoming dogs, 457 of those dogs were adopted into forever homes. We had 12 pass away. We had to euthanize 2. We had 225 return to their owner, and we serviced out 147. We had 5 dogs stolen from our property because, well, they were their dogs and they wanted them back and we couldn't keep them. So they came and stole them in the night and cut their locks, our locks rather, cut the gates, broke our doors, and stole those dogs. And then we transferred out 26 to other organizations. So now let's talk about my facility, right? We kind of mentioned that when we first started in 2021, the facility wasn't in a fabulous position. This is kind of what it looked like when we started. We have 26 functional kennels. 26 kennels pre-built into the building. Now, if I'm taking in 236 dogs, let's just call it 300 dogs. 26 kennels over the course of a year. I'm bringing in, sorry. I'm bringing in 20 dogs a month. I got 26 kennels. No big deal, right? Like that math works, doesn't it? And I adopt a lot of dogs out. Well, many of our kennels still need repair. We obviously didn't bring in 300 dogs. Many of our kennels still need a lot of repair. We're still messing with them every single day. We have to fix something. The doors that slide up and down break off. The wires that are connected break. We have to run new wires, right? We're constantly doing things. We received the fence around the shelter in 2022 after we had been broken into many times. So we were really excited. That fence was supposed to be put up prior to us taking possession of the property in 21. But that's okay, we got it, so we're excited. We even had to spend time, as I mentioned, finishing the shelter. So here's some of our friends. This little lady right here with the broken wrist, that's my mama. And she's out there helping with her broken wrist, helping get this facility so that we can house dogs. You can see our volunteers are painting to seal the concrete. And I will tell you that we ran out of epoxy, and epoxy is quite expensive, so unfortunately, we had to use some regular like gloss paint, so we don't have epoxy on every kennel. And the epoxy has now worn off because, you know, that's what happens, it wears. There we are trying to make sure that the drains are working because the drains weren't working. And there's our cute kids. There they are. So there's a couple of our dogs inside their kennels. We had to purchase our own kennels for cats or small dogs or whatever, so we purchased these kennels. We also have a feral cat room because people bring us feral cats on a regular basis. They come in traps, they come pregnant, they come with kittens, and let me tell you the pushback that when I say, I'm sorry, I can't take that cat you trapped, the words that people say to me should not be said. They're not very nice. So we do take some feral cats. When we first started in July of 2021, we were required by the City of Banning's code enforcement to take 76 cats from a hoarding situation, and 76 of those cats are feral cats. So what shall we do with 76 feral cats? Well, we had to make a good space for them. So we bought these modular buildings, and we made a good space for our cats. You can see they're pretty happy. This is one of our small dogs in one of our small dog kennels. I can't make the video work. I tried because I'm not connected or something, but it is a video of one of our cute little small dogs out playing. So let's talk about our procedures. What do we do, right? You heard a lot about the facility, you heard a lot about our dogs. Well, let's talk. So when somebody comes in, when a dog comes in, how I wish they could speak English, but they don't. They don't tell me their name. They don't tell me if they've had vaccines. They don't give me any information. So the first thing that we do is we have to vaccinate those animals. Why? To protect our current population and to protect that new dog coming in. So everybody gets intake vaccines. Our intake vaccines cost approximately $40. Then they get a microchip. So if you are not microchipped, you get a microchip. There is a city ordinance saying that all animals shall be microchipped. So our microchips are $20. If the animal is sick or injured, they go to the vet if they haven't already. If animal control picks up an injured animal, they take them straight to the vet. That was that vet servicing that we talked about earlier. And then make sure that they're good, and then they bring them to us. So how do you get your lost pet back, right? How do you get it back? So we want pets with people. That's our goal, right? Our goal is to not keep pets. I don't want them. We have plenty of stray pets that need love, and we need your pets back home with you. So our stray pets are posted to our website, and then they go out to syndicated sites. You guys have all heard of Paw Boost and things like that, right? They all go out to those sites. To reclaim a pet, all someone has to do is bring down proof of ownership and their ID. They're asked to fill out a simple form when they arrive so that we can have all of their information. And then our reclaim fees are very simple. We have a $55 base reclaim fee, and that helps us to recoup some of the cost of what we've put in with the vaccines and the microchips. They also get flea and tick treated when they come in because I need to maintain a flea and tick-free facility. If I have fleas and ticks running around, it's not a good thing for anybody. Fleas cause worms, tick cause all kinds of bloodborne illnesses, so keeping people safe or dogs safe. If an animal is unaltered, there is a state fine of $35. And then we do charge $20 a day for boarding. So if you come same day, we don't charge you to board because we didn't board your dog. But if you come later, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, I have a gentleman who came 3 months later. Guess what? Because we don't kill animals, this young man stood in my lobby and cried as he kissed his dog, and I don't have a darn picture, and I'm sad that I don't. Her name was Akira. She's a husky. She was ridiculously sweet, and he was the happiest man on the planet. I hear a question about, Amber, that sounds like that's going to be a lot of money for him, 3 months at $20 a day. Well, guess what? We worked with him because what do we want? Pets with people. So that little gentleman is on a $10 a month payment plan where he pays $10 a month to help us cover what we've spent on taking care of his dog. Here's some happy reclaimed people. He was so excited by the pictures on our wall. He said, I want my picture on the wall. Can you take our picture? This is my girl. So here he is. This gentleman here is obviously an unhoused individual. He's a very nice gentleman. He fell on hard time. He lost his dog, as you can see, because that's why he came to us. So not only did we waive his reclaim fees to help him out, we also gave him food to go home with, well, back to his place. We also provided him some food to go home with so that his dog could have something to eat. We do this on a pretty regular basis. If someone says, you know, that they need a little, and we know, you can clearly tell he needs a little help. So we try to do that. So now how do we do all those adoptions, right? We got a lot of adoptions. We do a lot of them. Not only do we do a lot of adoptions at our facility, we also go out a lot of places. Every weekend, we take a minimum of 20 dogs to various locations for adoption events. So adoption is really easy. You simply fill out an application on our website. You can use your phone, you can use the computer, but you fill that out. Then you pick out the pet that you'd like to meet. Once you pick out that pet, then we meet one-on-one in person, right? So at our facility, we do things a little bit differently. We don't walk through kennels. We believe in conversational adoptions. So in order to find a forever pet for you, we need to know what you like. Do you like to hike? Do you like to throw the ball? Maybe you had a shoulder injury, so a ball-throwing dog isn't going to be a match for you, right? We have some dogs that are so ball-driven, goodness gracious, you can't even walk near their kennel with a ball. They get so excited. For example, some dogs like to run. I bet you guys have met a dog that likes to run. I bet you guys have met a dog that likes to dig, right? I bet you guys have met a dog that won't get off the couch to save their life. I have one of those at home. So, talking to you and learning about who you are helps me to match you with who's going to fit really well in your home. And then we go through a great book. We have all the adoptable pets, and we talk about, hey, what do you think of this one? This is Travis. He loves balls. His favorite are giant red balls. We got him Jolly Balls because those are his absolute favorite. That dog will run and chase that Jolly Ball for days without stopping. We have to actually take it away. So then we go and we get your pup and we bring them up and we meet one-on-one in an environment where you can explore the personality of the dog. I hand you the leash and say, here you go. And you get to interact with that dog, right? I step away. Every now and then I'll sit on the floor and we'll play and talk. But you get to meet that dog. We don't allow our kennel walkthroughs for a couple of reasons. One, how many of you have a dog at home? Okay. Can you tell me what happens when a stranger knocks on your door? Bark. Bark, 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 bark. Right? They go nuts. Nuts. Now imagine the shelter is our dog's home. It's where they feel safe. Imagine having 10 strangers come to your door every day. How would your dog feel? When's the next one? When's it happening? Who's coming, right? They're gonna be stressed. Now imagine having 20, 30 people a day come. Our days vary. Some days we have 1 visitor, other days we have 60. So it really varies on how many people we get. But my priority is the safe keeping of my dogs. I want them to feel safe and comfortable. When you come to the shelter, you'll hear them barking at you like, hey, there's somebody here. You come into the office, after just a few minutes, it's quiet. They're at peace. They're resting, and they don't have to worry about a stranger walking through their home, right? How many of you love it when your dogs are quiet? I love it when my dog is quiet. I have a little yappy one, and he likes to bark at everything. So it's really nice when he's quiet. The other reason that we don't walk through our kennels is we do have confiscated animals. Confiscated animals are considered evidence in police cases, right? Has anyone been in the police evidence locker recently? No? That seems odd. My confiscate dogs are police evidence. Having people walk through my kennels and take photos of my confiscated dogs is not okay. It risks a police investigation. So we don't walk through them. I don't have a place to section things off. Everything I have is right there. It's all right there. So there's no way for me to just go, okay, look at these 3 kennels, but don't look over here, right? It just doesn't work. So what does it cost to adopt? That is a common question. What does it cost? So it really varies. All of our animals are spayed, neutered, microchipped, vaccinated, flea and tick treated, and dewormed. They've also had their health checked by the vet and deemed to be adoptable. So puppies under a year are typically $400. Sometimes that changes. Adults are typically $200. We have seniors that start as low as $2. We have sponsored dogs, and the sponsor determines the adoption amount. So I have a sponsor for our dog, Travis. Travis, who loves his Jolly Balls. Travis is a free adoption. Travis needs to go to a special home that doesn't have any other pets. Anybody looking to adopt a Jolly Ball dog who doesn't have any pets? By the way, he's about 60 pounds. No, he's probably about 70. Anybody? No, okay. That's all right. Travis has his human. He'll find him. We run lots of different specials. So when people ask us, what are your adoption fees? Well, it varies which dog are you interested in. Because if I have a sponsored dog, that dog's fee is going to be very different than someone else. We ran a 50 for 50 special, right? If you're 50 pounds and up, you're a $50 adoption. We did 14 dog adoptions. Woohoo, super excited. So we've done all kinds of different things. We do all kinds of different things. What does it cost? What does it cost to run the shelter? You already know I get $60,000 from the city of Banning. Well, it costs a lot. Our vet bills in 2022 were $220,000. Our animal food bill was $123,000. Staff? Well, let's talk about staff. How much is minimum wage these days? Wait a minute, what's going to happen at the beginning of the year? Gosh, it's going to go up again, right? So it costs a lot of money. Why are our puppies $400? Because every person that walks into the shelter says, I want a puppy, right? And we say, awesome. If you adopt a puppy, we can help this adult dog. We can help this senior that we're going to spend $1,600 to fix and adopt her for $2. Lizzie's a Rottie mix of some sort. We don't breed label much. She's a large breed dog, but she looks like a Rottie. She would love a home, absolutely love a home. She likes other big dogs. I can't tell you about cats, and I can't tell you about small dogs. Does anybody have room in their house for a large breed dog? She's about 9. She's super cute. She's very, very easygoing. She'll just lay around. Anybody? Okay. I got to pitch some of my dogs while I'm here, guys. So this is one of our vet bills. This is a current bill, as you can see, 11/6. We owe $6,652.77 to one of our vets. These are some of our spay-neuter bills, $2,450, then $3,020. We go to our vet on a weekly basis for spay and neuter. Right now we're a little backlogged, so we're not able to go each week, but the $2,400 to $3,000, that's an average week's vet bill. Week, yes, an average week's vet bill. So, food. Let's talk about food. We get food donations, that's awesome. Sometimes we get more than others. When we don't have food, somebody said to me, I said, hey, you know, this is our last bag of food today. And they said, well, what are you gonna do? I said, well, I gotta stop by the store and go buy some, right? So here, you can even see, here's me super shopping, saving $844 on food. So here's a $3,600 food bill, right? Here's my Chewy. Here's what we spend on dog food. Here's my auto ship. Woohoo, $374 on dog food. And then employees, right? So what's an employee cost? Well, according to QuickBooks, which I think is probably a relatively reliable source, would you guys agree? Right? According to QuickBooks, if I pay an employee $23 an hour, because let's just be honest, nobody's working at $16 an hour to pick up poop when they can go down and work at Jack in the Box or some other fast food restaurant for $20+ an hour, right? I mean, are you gonna flip burgers, for lack of a better term? Sorry, it's probably not politically correct. Or are you going to shovel dog poop for the same price? Which do you choose? So this is an estimated cost. All right, so we did all the yucky stuff, right? All the yucky stuff. Now let's talk about some fun, because it's not all poop. We have a lot of fun with our animals. We have a lot of different programs. We work with several different groups. We have some young volunteers who are really awesome. We have our dog walking trainer who comes in. She's there 3 times a week. So we do a lot of dog walking. We have this really awesome dog walk board. Our dogs get walked, and everybody gets out of their kennel on a very regular basis. You can see Luna just got walked on 11/3. I took this picture this morning, by the way. Spanky went out on 10/29, and then these are the initials of the volunteer who takes them out on a walk, so that if we have any questions about anything that could have happened while they were walking, we can reach out to them. Our dog walkers are all trained. They have to go through a training program. They get a certificate, and then they get coded with a color, and every dog, as you notice here, right, they all have a color. So everybody gets a color, and once you pass certain color levels, you can walk certain dogs. This is Webb. Oops, wrong button. That's Webb over there. He's a cute guy. Here's some of our dog walkers walking our dogs. I don't know where the third picture went, but it's not there. This is some of our playtime photos. So last year we were given a grant by the Sun Lakes group, which we really appreciated. And that allowed us to make our dog park very, very large for our dogs. So our dogs do a lot of running in the play yard. You can see these guys over here playing and wrestling. We have swimming pools out there they can get in. Obviously, Tiago does not like that water much. Phyllis enjoys hanging out on the little turf. We got some turf, so she enjoys hanging out on the turf. And then this is Sarge playing with some balls. Now those feral cats that hang out in the feral cat room, we have volunteers who come and hang out with them. They read books usually and just visit. So some of those feral cats aren't quite as feral anymore, and what's really great is once they're not feral, I can take them out and get them adopted. So they get to go to one of our partner locations and get adopted. So this is part of our feral sanctuary and our cat socializing hour here. So what do we need? Well, one, how can you help? Cleaning supplies. We do probably, 30, 40 loads of laundry. We do lots and lots and lots of dishes, hand soap, because we wash our hands on a regular basis. Dog food, cat food, we can never have enough dog food and cat food. Trash bags, we go through trash bags like mad. It's amazing how many trash bags we go through. Volunteers to help with dirty laundry. So if your hamper or your laundry is open, if your washing machine is open and you don't mind soiled stuff, and I'm just being upfront with you, we talked a lot about poop today. If you don't mind soiled stuff and you want to sign up for laundry pickup and drop off, you can pick up a bag of laundry or two, bring it home, wash it, and bring it back. So if you have questions or comments, you can send us an email. We'd be happy to respond to those for you. And minus that, there was one other thing I was going to mention, but now I don't remember what it was. So I think in closing, that's it. I just want to say thank you to our animal control officer and the PD for all the hard work that they do, because when animal control isn't available, PD kind of steps in and helps out. And without them, things would be difficult. So we really appreciate all their hard work, and I appreciate you guys having me here today.
Thank you, Amber. So I hope everybody got a clear picture of what's going on at that animal shelter. Amber's not going to take any questions. If you have any questions, you can email her, like she said. So I hope you enjoyed the program, and she gave quite a big description. We are not taking any questions. She'll give it to you. Amber will give it to you. So I appreciate everybody coming today, and I thank Banning Police Department for being here, Securitas. And please, I don't want anybody coming up to Amber unless you have a donation to give her. Okay, thank you so much.